So I've kind of reached a tipping point with mental illness today. And I thought I would make this video an instructional video on, if you will, on my lunch break, to discuss my borderline personality disorder and just discuss it in general, because one of the things since I've been officially diagnosed that I keep running into. I mean, I've looked it up before many times, because I've known for a long time, but you can't self-diagnose. But now that I had a doctor tell me, and I'm not crazy, but I am crazy. I just noticed such an amazing amount of stigma around people who have borderline personality disorder, like as if we're such horrible people, or like we don't treat people right, so that makes us bad. And I just wanted to say that I'm not bad, not bad at all. No, nobody who has it is bad. In fact, it's the opposite. And I just want that to stop. So I figured I'd start by educating, because that's the best thing that you could do. So there are major symptoms of borderline personality disorder. One of the major ones is abandonment, the fear of being left by people you care about. And that has been a constant in my life ever since I was a kid. And that kind of bleeds into another symptom, which is like not feeling like you're enough for the people in your life, which I can tell you that I've definitely had that for over 20 years. When I was 9, I put a plastic bag over my head to stop the voices, and not voices like other voices, like a multiple personality thing. I mean, like, my voice telling me how horrible and disappointing I was, and how I didn't deserve love. And I started therapy at 9, and didn't really stick. Therapy never really stuck for me until recently. Another thing is having unstable relationships. Now, in my previous video about borderline personality disorder, I talked about love in borderline personality disorder, because I actually am in a stable relationship now. The only thing that makes it unstable is my illness, because I have all of these other fears. You know, basically, borderline personality disorder is like your primitive instincts are dialed all the way up. So your fight or flight, like all of that is just dialed all the way up. So even if a situation does not call for these primitive instincts, you still act on them. And it can cause a lot of problems. It can cause a lot of pain and fighting, and luckily, like I said, I'm in a stable relationship. My partner and I don't really fight a lot, and I think that's because I'm getting to a point with my illness where I'm two people. I'm the person who's ill, and I'm the person that's trying to get better. And those two people are constantly at odds, and they have been for a year, ever since I got clean, which is another symptom, is self-destructive behavior or self-harm. You know, I've been drinking since I was 14. I stopped drinking at 30. You know, I'm now 31, and it's been 1 year, and all of those feelings, everything is dialed all the way up, because I have nothing to cope with, nothing self-destructive to cope with, and it has made for a very, very difficult time. But like I said, I'm actually in a stable relationship, and I have more stability in my work life and in my home life and in my parenting than I ever have. So I feel like I'm getting somewhere. That person is getting somewhere. That person is finding happiness. It's just that the other person that's not well keeps getting in the way. And I had a really bad morning today, which is another reason why I'm making this video. because I feel like if more people who have bad mornings can see that they're not the only one, then maybe they won't hurt themselves, or they won't go and drink a whole bottle of vodka, or they won't go. I mean, I can't save everybody, but that's why I do these videos in general anyway, is to help people. So if this is another topic that I can help people on, then why not? And there are other things. There's just no emotional regulation whatsoever. Like, very, very sensitive. Everything is a raw emotion. There's no degree. And then that goes into the whole idea of splitting, where people with borderline personality disorder, they can't find a gray area in anything. It's either you're good, you're bad, you're innocent or evil. And that even goes for us, ourselves, is, I can't find, like my boss tells me feedback that's not exactly positive, like I did something not wrong, but that I need to fix in the future. Instead of seeing that as feedback right away, I see that as a failure, and I see that as being worthless. And that's not true, but that's what happens. That's what this illness does. There is no in between. There's no in between. And I live with this every single day of my life, no matter what the context of the situation. And then there's that feeling of emptiness that you have to fill, and that goes back to self-destructive behaviors, but also, I don't think it's so much emptiness anymore for me, because I feel like through a lot of the work I've been doing, I'm finding positive ways, and I'm seeing the positive things in my life that fill that emptiness, the good things you're supposed to feel. And that's why, again, I'm at odds with myself on a near constant basis. And then there's anger, which goes along with extreme emotions, that things can make me so angry so quickly, and that I can't level. Again, luckily in my relationship, we don't fight very often. But when we do, I can guarantee you that I'm the one who's freaking out. Just freaking out. And then just disassociating, feeling out of touch with reality, feeling like all of a sudden everything, the floor just drops out beneath you. Like, that's like a huge thing that happens to me at least once a day. And this morning it happened, and instead of it being like a quick thing, because that's the thing with borderline, it's different than bipolar, that these things are very quick. They move back and forth, back and forth. There's no days of depression, no days of mania. It's just you switch, which is probably why people have such a stigma about it, because it just looks like we're raving lunatics screaming, and then the next minute we're fine, and it probably makes us look like, we're just crazy people. Like, there's no good in us, like, we're just, but, I disassociated this morning because I had an initial feeling of failure, where I felt like I was a disappointment to my family for some stupid reason. And then you disassociate because then you just begin to believe that you're going to lose everything. And there's fear of abandonment. But it goes even deeper than that, because you feel like you're even going to lose touch with yourself. Like, you're destined for everything, and you can look around you and see that everything is still right where it is, and it doesn't matter. Because you feel like it's just, at any moment it could all explode and you'll be left standing there by yourself. And that happens to me once a day. It has happened to me once a day for at least the last 20 years. I also have minor things like hypochondria. Everything is going to kill me. I can't just, say I have a headache. Everything is going to kill me. Everything, OCD, everything has to be in its place. I get really judgmental sometimes about people, like parents who say, oh, well, how can you keep a house clean with a kid? And I'll go, I always kept my house clean. But that's because I'm sick. That's not because I embraced the fact that I had a kid and then went out and did something better than everybody else, which I'm sure also makes me look like a huge dick. Because, you know, I'm judging people. But I know in the back of my head there's a voice screaming, "What's wrong with you?" Like, everybody's different. So, I guess that was my point, was to just kind of explain what I go through and what people with borderline personality disorder go through on a daily basis, and how it is very hard to live with this. And the lucky thing about it is that there's more known about it, and people have treatment plans for it. I actually have a new doctor now because my last doctor really, everything she tried shit the bed because she just wasn't listening to me until the very last, until I told her I wasn't going to take medication anymore, and then she realized that all the, prescription drug companies that were in her pocket probably weren't going to pay her as much. So automatically it was, oh, well, that's right, you told me in the beginning that it might be a mood disorder. Oh, could it be borderline? And we started talking about it, and we discovered that, in fact, it was. And I wasn't crazy, but I am. But yeah, so that's it. That's what it is, and that's what I'm going through. And today was a really bad day, and it's still a bad day. I have to go back to work in a minute. Like I said, I took my lunch break to do this, and I have to maybe try to get a little bit of my yoga in since I have another like 20 minutes. But like this was a hard one, and I keep having hard ones, and I keep trying really hard, and I feel like I'm just talking myself and everybody else in my life in circles sometimes, trying to understand what's wrong with me. But I figure I can start here, and I can update on progress or whatever it is. So that's it. And I hope that this helped other people, and I hope that in the future I have more positive feedback about how treatment and life with borderline personality disorder is going. Because so far, it's like I found out I had it, like I was vindicated, and it got worse. Which is such a BPD thing to do. But then again, also, it's gotten worse because I don't drink anymore. So what is there to hide from? I can't hide from myself anymore. So anyway, peace and love and light, and I'm luckily going to be spending the weekend at Cosm, which is nice, and I hope that even though this has been a very rocky summer, and that, maybe it would have been better if we had relaxed at home for a weekend and not had to do anything or go anywhere, that at least it'll still be rewarding, in a way. And then next weekend we'll be home, and the weekend after that we'll be home, and we'll be able to start settling into our new apartment. So yeah, thanks for listening, and again, I hope I have more positive feedback in the future, and more of my writing. My second book came out, and so hopefully, more with that, on with the show. So thank you for listening.